Hey YouTube, it's Danny here. I am coming to you today to make my Midsummer oil. So what I'm going to be using is a mason jar, um, extra virgin organic olive oil, chamomile, roses, lavender. I just put it in here because my container is too big to take up on my counter space. Seashells and frankincense. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to take the frankincense and roughly a palmful, and I am going to use my mortar and pestle and just break it up a little bit. I don't need it too powdery, and I have a magic bullet that I can use, but right now I think this will just work really fine, especially since I'm not using as much as I normally could use. And I'm putting my own intent in there and putting my own feelings and emotions of how I would like the summer to be. I am a summer baby. My birthday is right. I was born right on the cusp of a Gemini Cancer sign. My birth date is June 22nd, and I was born at 12:20 in the morning, so I was cutting it really close to being a midsummer baby, but I held out for the day after. So got my frankincense powder in the jar. Next, I am going to put my lavender and chamomile together. I like making chamomile and lavender teas. It's a calming sensation for me, so that's why I love doing it. And I'm not gonna really pound them or grind them into a powder. Some people like to, I don't. I just like bruising them a little bit just to be able to bring out the fragrance a little bit more. And if they do end up becoming a little bit of a powder, I'm not too worried about it, but I do like to keep them whole as much as possible. I'm going to add this to our jar. And then lastly, besides the oil and the shells, I am going to take a couple rose leaves. These ones are pretty fresh, and I get mine from a friend who has a loving fiance who will get her roses pretty much whenever, just because he wants to. So whenever her roses die, she just gives them to me. So I'm just kind of, doing the same thing, bruising them a little bit. They don't really need it because the aroma is just gorgeous. So I'm gonna add them to my mixture, and I don't measure. It to me, measuring is for baking, not for cooking or making oils all the time. If it's a specific recipe, then yes, I wouldn't measure, but for this, I just enjoy putting my intent and my thoughts into making this oil. And now, all I'm gonna do is fill it up a little ways. And add my seashells. One is a cockle shell and one is a snail shell that I got from. The snail shell is from my grandparents' lake cabin. The cockle shell I ended up getting through eBay, and that was a couple years ago. So I usually just put them in and then put my intent in while I'm shaking it. And there is, I'm going to lift up, and there is our Midsummer oil. And I will be placing a date on it and letting it sit for about 2-3 weeks, probably a week at the most, and I'll probably strain it. And then when I make my oils, I do it differently from others. Some people like to just let it ferment with the same herbs for the whole 6-week process. I like to wait about a week or two and then strain it out, keep the oil of course, and then repeat the process with fresh herbs just to give it a little bit of freshness, and the aroma is even more potent, and I keep putting my same intent in. So that is how I make my midsummer oil. So blessed be.